Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
வந்தாச்சா? ஹலோ ஹலோ
Hello, ma'am.
தினேஷ் குமார் சார் சொல்லுங்க சார். we are starting now. ஸ்டார்ட்
Good evening,
பண்ணிட்டு
ma'am. Oh,
கிளம்பலாமா
yes,
அப்படின்னு
ma'am.
நினைச்சேன். குட் ஈவினிங்.
Okay, ma'am.
வாட் இஸ் த ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் இன் கூகுள் கிளாஸ் ரூம்?
Ma'am, Google Classroom actually yesterday some of the participants asked about a software, that Cura software. Siddharth just now, some 10 minutes before, he shared links and all, ma'am, to
ஓகே
download
ஓகே
it.
ஓகே. Today he is going to show how to assemble.
And
How to
as
assemble. Yes, sir.
actually yesterday we planned that today he's just opening give some of the assignment in Cura software, ma'am, because
Hmm.
participants can try how to slice
Hmm.
like that they can try with their own self. So what
Hmm.
he sent the links also in the Google Classroom, ma'am. Nearly
Okay.
totally 103 participants joined, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Google Classroom, not all have joined.
Yes, ma'am. 103 joined. We already sent the links
Okay.
also from second
Okay. Okay.
day.
One or
From
three.
first day
Okay.
itself, we
Okay.
are giving the links. 103
Okay.
joined
Okay.
in Google Classroom, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, check the response there also, sir. So that the next we are going for rivet architecture, no?
Yes, ma'am.
That also can we can plan in Google Classroom. This is
Okay, ma'am.
going on well. Okay, sir. Let them join. Only 14 has joined.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening, Dinesh. Hi. Can you hear my voice?
Siddharth, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Very good evening.
Good evening. How is the program now? What is your feel?
Uh, I think the objective of the program is, it is to give a glimpse on the topics of entire content crafting on how to build a 3D printer. But I
Okay.
think the program is actually, pretty much jam packed because we have a lot of topics to cover. So I do understand, that's the reason why I tell students that this is just the starting, the first steps, initial steps to get an idea on how to build their own autocrafting 3D printer. So
Hmm.
uh, the workshop will not actually end. Definitely 100%. I'm sure that their learning process will not stop over here. So once after this workshop gets
This
over,
is to trigger the learning process. They
yes,
are. It will be triggered. Then only we have to. They will approach for
exactly,
deep learning. Hmm.
exactly. So today we are actually planning to look into the core mechanics, the electronics,
Hmm.
the programming part, and
Hmm.
as well as the entire build of a 3D printer. So we'll be covering four topics today. So that's what I have planned. That will give a very good
Okay.
idea on how
Okay.
to kickstart their project of building their own machine, which can later then be used to
Okay.
print concrete as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think some more time is there for
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
students to join? Let us
Definitely.
wait for some time.
Sure.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, Siddharth.
Good evening, Mr. Dinesh. Yes.
And I think let's we start because it's about 4.
Yeah, sure. So let's begin with today's session. Let me take on the presentation.
Yes, I think you can share your screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, guys. So yesterday we actually took a look into what G codes and M codes are, and so today we'll be looking into building a 3D printer. What are all the different pillars for building a 3D printer, and we'll be looking into each and every one of them in a very brief way. All right. So we'll be looking into the different types of electronics. Uh, we'll be looking into the software part, the mechanical part, and also even the design of the extruder assembly. So, with regards to our contour crafting 3D printer, out of all these 4 pillars, the mechanics, the electronics, and the software, so these 3 are common with regards to our normal FDM 3D printers. Whereas the extruder is going to be a bit different, right? So because since we are not going to melt plastic and deposits, since we're going to deposit cement or special type of concrete. So for that reason, let's just begin with the basic parts. Let's take a deep dive into the mechanics aspect of a 3D printer. So normally with a 3D printer, which you could see, if you could see the camera of my view, normally all 3D printers will have axis motion. So which could be there are different ways of implementing the axis motion. It could be either a normal Cartesian type, or it could be a core XY mechanism. There could be a delta type mechanism, polar type mechanism. So these are all different types of mechanisms which is used to represent the motion. To give a very brief idea into it, let me just show you some references. So the core XY mechanism is actually consists of belts and pulley system, where a stepper motor will be powering up the entire belt mechanism, and the core XY is basically the X and Y axis of the 3D printer will be integrated into a single system. Which means if you want to move an X axis, you got to control both of these steppers so that you could move the X axis alone. And for Y axis as well, you should be it's basically we are using inverse kinematics over here, and the uh, the firmware, which is the operating system of your 3D printer, will calculate and will send instructions to the stepper motor precisely how much degree each and every single stepper motor should move, so that the extruder moves in one particular axis for a given precise distance. Okay, so let's not get too detailed into it, because it's actually out of our scope right now. So this is one type of mechanism which I would like to show you. There are again other type of gantry mechanisms. Gantry mechanisms are normally mechanisms which actually runs on Hyven rails and block systems. So that would be it could be either a smooth rod with a linear bearing, or a rails block sliding over rail mechanism. So these are all the gantry type mechanism systems. And there is even other type of system called delta mechanism, where let me show you a video for that reference. So normally for a delta type 3D printer, you could see there is 3 different axes, which is present over here as well. But these 3 axes are actually the if you could see over this particular portion, so these are all called as rails and block systems. So these blocks will slide over these rails. So for moving the extruder all these three different individual axes will actually move, so that in the cylindrical coordinate system, this particular extruder would move to a precise location. And the motors are actually hidden at beneath of these three arms. So the circle portions are actually the motors, which is driving these belts over here. And when the belts are driven, the blocks will move, because the belts are actually linked with the blocks. So notice how the extruder position can be varied by changing the location of these blocks. Let's say if I want to move this particular extruder, if I'm moving one particular axis, notice how the height and the length changes. That is in two different axes. So this is one type of mechanism called, and basically the delta mechanism consists of universal joints. I do understand these stuffs are actually meant for mechanical students, but since you got to be knowing a bit about all these stuff, so that it would be easy for you to choose which type of system you want for your 3D printer to work on. And normally all 3D printer works on the principles of inverse kinematics. So, but don't worry. So the inverse kinematics part, the math part, the calculation part, all those formulas will be taken care by our firmware. So the software is actually the firmware which we discussed yesterday. Once we create a G code, so all you need to do is send instructions for the extruder to move to the one particular location. The software will calculate individually how the motors should react, and then it will actually just follow the instructions, and it will do all the math, and it will work on its own. So this is the delta type. And not just delta type, you could actually have different varieties of 3D printers. So yesterday I actually given you an assignment for to check out this website called reprap.org. So I do most of you might have skipped it. So if at all, kindly give a glance to this website by today. So you could. Because this particular website has enormous resources, so these are all different types of 3D printers which you could choose, and majority of these 3D printers also has links to these printers, will also have instructions on how to choose your build paths and how to build your own 3D printer. So to give you a glance, so these are all some of the 3D printers which are which you could choose from. So this actually includes, so you could find a delta type mechanism over here. So these are all, this particular one is the normal individual axis control mechanism. And you have, so Cartesian based working 3D printers, gantry type mechanism 3D printers. And they even have certain 3D printers which are, large enough, like say about, like almost 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet build volume and all. So and most of them actually, the another advantage of for building a 3D printer is you could actually, if you have access to another 3D printer, you could 3D print majority of the parts, like the link brackets and other parts. For example, let's just get into this particular 3D printer. Okay, so the one which you see over here, the white parts which are actually visible over here are all 3D printed, which means you don't need to go to a shop or custom order or spend enormous money on getting the brackets and other links. Whereas if you have access to a 3D printer, you could just simply 3D print it, and all you need to buy is normal rods and screws and other frames, which is used to build the core structure of a 3D printer. And apart from them, you will be requiring belts and pulleys, smooth rods, linear bearings. Let me just quickly get back to our presentation as well. So apart from that, you'll be requiring threaded rods. So threaded rods are basically used to move the move any particular axis. Mostly threaded rods are used for Z axis for increasing the height of the printer. And along with threaded rods, you'll be having a flange nut, which is used to increase the height. And linear rails and blocks are used for mostly, X and Y axis. And there are several advantages and disadvantages between these systems. For example, when you compare linear rails and blocks with smooth rods and linear bearings, the cost of the linear rails and blocks are a bit higher side. They are a bit higher, but they will give you a very good precision. So there won't be any wobble on the extruder part. It will have a very minimum amount of deviations in the range of few microns. All right. So, but for a 3D printer, which is actually meant to deposit concrete, we don't require that level of precision. So you could save a ton of money by skipping linear rails and blocks, and you could go to smooth rods with linear bearings. So they'll be a very cheaper option. So smooth rods, and the machine which you see over here actually uses smooth rods and linear bearings. The bearings are actually embedded inside this 3D print. If you could see my mouse pointer on your screen. Yeah. So this particular white portion actually houses the linear bearings as well. And when the belt moves, the bearings will slide over the smooth rod. So with regards to the construction, the mechanical construction, it is very plain simple. So all you need is a frame, get a bunch of parts 3D printed for the brackets and other stuffs, and get some belts, pulleys, smooth rods, and bearings. So nothing more than that. So that shouldn't be a very expensive affair. And you will be requiring, few basic tools and for soldering and other stuffs as well. So I'll also leave a link to this website once again in our Google Classroom so that you could check it out later. So coming back to our presentation, so mechanics part is, there isn't a lot to discuss about mechanics because they are all kind of straightforward, and you could really take a deep dive into it once you check out this website, which I'll be sharing today. And now comes the electronics part. I do understand electronics is not core for you people. Like for architectural students and civil students, you might have had the last glance of electronics on, say, your first year paper, but you don't need to worry about it. So the electronics part, which we will be using for construction of our 3D printer, it is really not that complicated. You have enormous resource online. You could even get help from a lot of community people, online community people, or if not, you could also even reach me out. Even I would really feel happy to lend a hand to help you out. So let's without any further ado, let's just take a look into what these electronics mean. Okay, so the image which is actually represented on the slide represents the basic electronics of a 3D printer. So let's begin with the controller part. So as the name defines, the controller is the brain of the entire machine. So it has a microcontroller. So that's why it is able to process all the information. So in majority of cases, 90% of all open source 3D printers, they run on a platform called Arduino. So we'll be discussing about Arduino in the next software part. So coming back to our topic, so over here in the slide, the image which is actually shown over here, so this particular one is called as Arduino Mega 2560 microcontroller. And so what this microcontroller does is, so you'll be this particular IC is actually like a computer. It is actually a very powerful computer. Like say, if you could actually compare it with a 20-year-old desktop. So this one is having much more power than a 20-year-old desktop. So it has its own processor, it has its own memory, both volatile and non-volatile memory, which means you could, it has RAM and it has a WEEPROM, and basically all you need to do is connect it with a USB cable over here, power it up, do the programming part. Programming as in the firmware should be loaded into the machine, into the microcontroller. And once you program it up, once the firmware is bootloaded, you could stream the G codes. You could send the G codes to this microcontroller, and you could tell them to, do the processing. So now what this microcontroller does is, once it receives the input of the G code which we discussed yesterday, it has a compiler, and uh, the basically it will read the instructions. Based on those instructions, it will do the math. It does all the inverse kinematics which we discussed, and it will generate the signal for the stepper motors to move in given axis. So for that purpose, we will be using another PCB called as this is actually nothing but a shield. So shield is something like, it is a separate accessory which you could attach daisy chain on top of a microcontroller board. So once you daisy chain it, you have the shield actually has different slots for, expansion slots, the stepper driver slots. So basically, if you could see my mouse pointer, this particular portion these are all called as stepper drivers. The reason why we are using stepper driver is a microcontroller can't control a stepper motor directly, because a stepper motor normally requires a lot of electricity, a lot of power to be driven, and a microcontroller normally will not have that sufficient amount of power. All a microcontroller does is it could generate a signal. It could be a pulse width modulation signal, a PWM signal, or any kind of analog, not analog, like say any kind of digital input output signals. So these IO signals or the PWM signals will be sent to the stepper driver drivers, and these drivers, what they do is, based on the signals received, it will amplify those signals to the required voltage and current for the stepper motors. Stepper motors normally work with different. So there are different types of stepper motors. So normal standard stepper motors which we use for 3D printers is like a NEMA series of stepper motors, like say NEMA 17 and other stuffs. Which I'll just give a brief idea into what those stepper motors are. So here is a basic electrical layout diagram. You could see the green portion over here. The green portion over here is actually the stepper driver placement. So these drivers will actually control each and every stepper motor. So there is one separate drivers for separate stepper motors. So when the microcontroller sends a signal to the stepper driver will amplify the signals so that it corresponds to the required precise movement of these particular axes on the stepper motor, and then it sends the electrical signals. So such that once your motor starts to move, it will start to either move a belt, and in turn the belt will move a bearing, a linear bearing, or if not a block. So that actually amounts to the mechanical motion. So this is how. Apart from this, if you see over here, so this is a line supply voltage. So this is a power supply unit, which we normally called as SMPS, which is actually present in our computers and other stuff. So which converts 230 volt to required DC voltage. So normally our 3D printer works on 12 volt DC or 24 volt DC. So based on that, you will choose your own SMPS. And so notice how the power is given to the RAM's port, and the power is also given to the Arduino microcontroller as well. So this power is directly used for amplification of the electrical signals to the stepper motors. And here you could see the extruder assembly, and there are even limit switches over here. So these are all tiny switches for each and every individual axis. The next important, so these limit switches are used as end stops. So what end stops means is, for that I need to give you a very brief idea on how stepper motor works. All right. So if you see a normal stepper motor, so this is how a normal stepper motor works. So they actually work on micro stepping process, wherein if you send a signal, if you energize one particular coil, so if you could see this particular diagram, they have 4 different coils, and when you energize any 2 set of particular coils, the rotor part inside the stepper motor will turn to a degree such that once after it turns, the other pair of coils will be energized. And there are different techniques for this motion. But unfortunately, what happens, the problem which we face using stepper motors is we won't be getting a feedback. Feedback is, we need to know where exactly the uh, printer is, the printer's extruder is present, right? So once we give a signal, let's say if the machine is not moving, or if it has any obstructions or anything, we won't be getting any signal, any feedback. So for this purpose, people can use servo motors. Servo motor is another special type of motor which will have, which actually runs on a closed loop feedback system. So on a servo motor, there will be an optical encoder which could send a signal back to the microcontroller stating its position. But in stepper motor, it won't send a position value. So for reducing the cost purpose, servo motors are generally expensive, very expensive, almost 10 times as expensive as stepper motors. So for reducing the cost factor, what we normally do is we actually place certain sensors at the end of each and every axis. All right, so these sensors are nothing but limit switches. If you see a limit, a switch, something like this is actually used to once, let's say, during the homing process. Let me quickly show you with a live example. So if you could see in this mission, one second. So there are tiny limit switch at the end over here. So once the let me choose over here. Okay, I'm just homing the mission. Now notice how the mission is knowing its position. So once it hits these limit switches, the registers will be updated, stating that the machines have, the extruder has reached its 0 position. So that is how that is the use of these limit switches. And without these limit switches, it is actually it is impossible for the machine to know the location of the extruder unless until we use a closed loop feedback type motor, like say servo motor. So, and apart from that, we have thermistor. Thermistors are used to measure temperature, and for our countercrafting 3D printer, we should be requiring different sets of sensors, like say pressure sensor for calculating the pressure at the extruder, the flow rate sensor, or how the and also to calculate the mixing ratio precisely, we'll be requiring other types of sensors as well as in the extruder. So apart from, so we could all consolidate these types of devices into multiple sensors, and apart from that, you'll be requiring a display unit. So basically to interact with the machine, to display the information, and yeah, and minor things like cooling fans and other stuffs. So, and if you could check out this the RepRap page, you could see an extensive list of information which is present. You even have different types of assembly instructions, how to assemble it, what tools you'll be requiring, what parts you'll be requiring, and how to prepare the components. So this is basically a thermistor sensor, and so do have a look into this website if you haven't taken a look yesterday. So you could basically, so yeah, these are all 3D printed parts, by the way. So these white components and everything. So normally these 3D printed parts, you could get them sourced if at all your friend or any own person is having a 3D printer, you could get them printed over there. If not, you could also ask us. We could also even 3D print it for you as well. So yeah, coming back to so these are all the different electrical schematics and other parts. And don't worry, like say if even I mentioned about display units and other stuff, so that is a whole suite of libraries which are available online. So even though the programming part for controlling these stuff runs to say several thousands, or if not even sometimes even in millions of lines of code, we don't. It doesn't mean like you need to learn. You need to be an expert in programming. Okay, so even I'm not an expert in programming, but when you could actually make use of all these libraries uh, to your advantage. So this is one example. So you could actually visit Arduino's website. As I told you before, we are actually like the entire firmware is actually the microcontroller runs on an Arduino based IDE. So the Marlin firmware is also complete. It is a type of C programming language only. It is almost similar to C programming, but even it has its own unique IDE. So fortunately, for all the display units for controlling the entire activators of your 3D printer, you could make use of the libraries. So let me get into the. I will also explain how to make use of these libraries when we get into the software part. All right. So. And if you ask me what will be the cost of purchasing all these electronics, a quick search on the internet actually showed me like they are retailing this entire set for around 6,000 rupees, so which is actually pretty cheap. Before they used to cost a lot before, but now the price has dropped. There are even certain online global websites like AliExpress and other Chinese websites where you could find the entire set for say even around $30, which is really like it's very cheap. Like for 2,000 3,000 rupees you'll be able to purchase them, and of course shipping and duty will be there, but comparatively that's not that expensive. So these are all the basic electronic parts. So now let's get back into the software part. So already we have taken a look into software can be divided into 3 different categories. So one is the design software, the design tool. So the design tool, day before yesterday class we actually taken a look on you could use your own softwares like say Revit or Google SketchUp, AutoCAD 3D, Rhino, or any favorite software, and for creating your 3D model, for designing your building, and then exporting it in a .stl format, the stereolithography format. So once you have exported, you'll be using CAM tools. So CAM stands for Computer Aided Manufacturing, and CAD is for Computer Aided Design, right? So in CAM software part also we have already taken a look. So for the CAM part we were using Cura, and some of you have even asked the link for Cura, and it has been updated in our Google Classroom. So kindly download the Cura software and give it a try. So probably even you could take it as an assignment today. So you could design your own idea or a building or anything in your favorite CAD software, and then you could try to slice it with your Cura software, so that you could try to generate a G code using a Cura software. And so we have already taken a look into the the slicing part, the G code sender part, and G code interpreter. So G code interpreter actually comes under firmware as well, because it needs to interpret the G code and then do the necessary actions. So since we have completed these 2 particular parts, we will be focusing today on the firmware part. The firmware is the soul of a 3D printer. So it actually instructs the microcontroller or the the brain of a 3D printer to how to interpret the G code which we generated earlier. So let's take a look. And at the same time, the firmware is also responsible for controlling all the stepper motors, for controlling, keeping a check on the thermistors, how the heating is done, or in our case, the Contour Crafting 3D printer, how the mixing ratio is happening, and what is the, how to maintain the pressure and everything. The firmware will be, it is the responsibility of the firmware to take care of all such things. So for that reason only, we are using different types of activators and sensors. Okay, so now let's take a look into the firmware part. So the firmware is actually, we are using Arduino based, because since the microcontroller which we are using is an Arduino microcontroller, which is a Atmega 2560 microcontroller, which you could, which I shown before earlier. So this is the microcontroller, and so this is again the Arduino based platform. So for that purpose, the firmware which we choose is actually, there are several firmwares. Okay, so let me give a list of, let me just give you a small idea into different firmwares which are available for use. So you could see almost like, there is almost more than a dozen of firmwares available in our RepRap series. So of the entire dozens of firmware, the most famous and most widely used firmwares are like, say, Marlin, Sailfish, and then Prusa. Prusa is again, it's a it is again based on Marlin. So I have even pasted the links for for downloading these firmwares in our Google Classroom. Kindly take a look at it. So to give an idea about how these firmwares were developed and given to the community. So until 2007, all these FDM technology was a proprietary technology, which means you can't. It wasn't open source, so it was a very controlled, patented technology. So once after the patents got expired, the core technology has been made open source, and a whole lot of community developed around it. So RepRap is the global, it's the world's most largest community where people will interact on their community forum. So if you could actually visit their forum, and you could see all the discussions and everything. So basically they have like thousands and thousands of discussions happening, and even you could post questions over there. It will get, there's high chance that it gets answered, and your query will be sorted out. So Marlin, Sailfish, and all these firmwares were created by the people from the RepRap community and other communities as well. And let us quickly take a look into downloading a start building our own RepRap thing. So for that purpose, what I do is, so this is where I have posted in our Google Classroom. If you could go, you could actually have two different links for that. So when you go to Arduino download site, you have options to download the software. So I have already installed it. So I already have the software. So just install it, and at the same time also try to download your Marlin firmware as well. So you could just go here and then download the zip version file. Okay, so once after that is done, now when you open Arduino, so you will have, so this is how your firmware looks. All right, so let me open up the other one as well. Okay, so basically, yeah. So so these are all, this particular software actually, it is, if I want to give you a basic idea, this is something like C programming only, almost similar to C programming, but rather, it is a bit easy as well. So you don't need to program the entire part. So all you need to do is like, modify certain parameters, and once you modify it, custom modify, because based on your not every 3D printer is same, right? So let's say if you want to build a 3D printer of a build volume of 100 centimeter by 100 centimeter by 100 centimeter. So in that case, you should be specifying, what is the build volume, and you should be specifying what type of controller you're using. You should specify what type of. So basically, all you need to do is go to configuration.h file, and once you skim through this particular section, let me just give you a small walkthrough about setting up or configuring your firmware. So we were discussing about different types of 3D printers, right? So there are Delta type 3D printers, Kara type 3D printer. And under this Marlin firmware, you have instructions for everything. So basically, the sections which has all these forward, couple of forward slashes are called as comments. So they won't be executed. They are only meant for our understanding. And even the sections which has, forward slash followed by a star and terminating, it's exactly like a C program. So even in C program, you have the same syntax. So again, we are, so these are all the parts which will actually. So let me just show how to set up the firmware. Like say for example, hash define is again it's a function which has already been will be called upon. So show boot screen is if you could we could modify. This is basically used. It's a function which is used to show what type of if you want to custom your screen of your 3D printer when it starts up, with your logo or something, you could customize this particular portion. And then define serial port. Baud rate is again meant for the data transmission, the serial interface data transmission part. So if you are already familiar with Arduino, I think you'll be understanding certain aspects of these. And we need to define what type of motherboard we are using. So RAMs is the one which is actually the shield on top of a Arduino Mega 2560. And then we are defining what the type of extruder, what is the filament diameter, and everything. And if you see, so these are all different features, parking extruders, magnetic parking extruder. So these are all different features which you could make use of. At I don't think it's I don't need to get into these topics individually right now, because they actually take they are a set of a whole new. Basically, they are out of scope for our discussion right now. Let me quickly show you some basic controls. So yeah, so you could actually see the power control program over here. So you could just comment out. You could just read out the comment. So for example, let's say if you're using an ATX based board, you got to type in false, and if you got to type true for if you use an Xbox based PSU control. And even for the power supply unit, if you want to turn on the fans, so basically the auto power fans, this particular command will turn on the fans. And you could actually even custom. Basically, this entire configuration.h is header file which is used to configure your 3D printer. So you'll be setting up different level of things, like say what is that what type of temperature sensors you're having, and how much these are all the PID values for the thermistor. And you could see so these are all different classification of minimum temperature errors and maximum temperature. So whenever the temperature goes less than 5 degrees Celsius, it means you will be getting an error on your display saying that you're having a min temperature. And yesterday also we had a question. So what if we give unauthorized commands to our 3D printer using G codes? So for that, even I gave an example. Let's say, for example, instead of 200 degrees Celsius, what if we give 2000 degrees Celsius? So in that case, if the heater's temperature exceed more than 275 degrees Celsius, it will automatically turn off the heaters, and that is defined by this value. Okay, so all right, I think let's go to the other part of the firmware part. So the firmware is actually basically it runs to several thousands of lines, or if not, you know, almost like say 3 or 4 lakh lines are present in this particular firmware, Marlin firmware, and so it doesn't mean you need to run through each and every line. So all you need to play with is actually this configuration.h and configuration_advanced.h header file. So inside these two files, you will have different sets of things like say your stepper motor actually works on number of steps per unit. So when you give if you want to turn to a particular degree, so we are actually basically micro stepping, right? So we should be configuring our stepper motors, micro stepping units over here. And what will be the default maximum feed rate? So you could customize these values to change your default maximum feed rate and minimum feed rate as well, and maximum acceleration. So these are all the motion part. So how fast the stepper motor should move, how it should accelerate and decelerate, and so you have all those configuration part over here. So I guess it's a bit too high for you to get a understanding of this, because you might not have a very good experience on the programming part or Arduino, but it would be very easy. You could trust me on this. You could just try out downloading this particular software, or you could actually start out with even Arduino has a lot of examples as well. Like say for let me give you a small glimpse. Let's this is something like just to turn on a particular pin high and turn off the particular pin low. So basically in the loop section, if you see, this is the portion which will be continuously run in the controller, where we are just digital write is a function which is used to write whether it should be either 1 or 0, because they all operate in binary. So high represents 1 and low represents 0. And in this case, when we give high, it means that a 5 volt will be given to that particular pin. So LED built-in is actually it is a pin in the Arduino controller. So once this command is given, what happens is that particular pin will turn to high, and if you connect an LED, that LED will glow. And delay 1000 stands for it's a basically you are delaying this delaying the compiler to stop for another 1 second. So this unit is actually millisecond, and then you are again turning it low. So which means you are turning on and off that particular LED for every 1 second. For every 1 second it turns on, and the other second it turns off, and then it repeats. So for getting started, you could actually get an Arduino Mega 2560 controller, and then you could try out all these examples. So you have different examples, and even with Arduino, you could actually build several whatever project, or with project you plan to build, let alone not just a 3D printer, but let it be any robotics kind of, let it be a rover, or say let it be if you want to develop your own if you want to paint a building in a automated way, even for that system you could use an Arduino. So Arduino is a very great platform for that. And there are several once you download the Marlin firmware, so it actually comes under this, but it will have several folders and files. And if you see so GitHub is a repository where people you could report some. Okay, let's not get into it. Let's check out the different. Okay, let's not go into the controls part. So you could see different source files and modules and libraries. So these are all different libraries which are available. Let's say if you want to use a servo motor, you could actually open up this particular library and then you could start customizing your thing. Okay, for opening it. Okay, I think I need to open up it from here. So you also have, so these are all different libraries, which is used to control, different part of your 3D printer, say for controlling a buzzer, for controlling a nozzle, and so vector, yeah. So probably just take a look into it, and so basically all these libraries are meant for giving you full control towards configuring your own selected components and electronics. And you also have all sets of details under the even in configuration.h, like say wherever you go inside the Marlin firmware, it is actually meant for easy understanding. So you could quickly read through all these comments, and based on that you could choose what kind of action you want. So let's say if you want to use certain specific type of components, and rather if you want to deselect certain components, you could just comment out those functions and then add in those particular libraries. Okay, so and even in advanced .h configuration, you have several advanced configuration settings. And so you will be having like controls like PID settings for your thermistor, for your calibration of your stepper motors. So as you could see over here, you are actually setting the temperature sensors, calibration. Basically, we are adjusting the temperature measurements over here. So based on to get accurate data, we are using different kind of PID systems. Okay, so these are all used to set the speed of fan. So all right, now we have different. You could choose different boards. Let's say if you're using. These are all different functions which are available, and drivers for driving your stepper motors. Also, I will. What I'll do is I'll also leave a link today for giving you, if you're interested in knowing about configuring the Marlin firmware in detail. It actually requires a lot of time. So for that purpose, I think it's better to start from the basics. So what I'll do is I'll actually leave certain resources for you people to follow up, and it's always better to start with a basic Arduino and try out several example projects. And with that understanding, in a month or two, you could you will be getting familiarized with this particular programming language as well. So you could easily configure your machine, and then you could start 3D printing, building your 3D printer. And so that's about the entire firmware, the programming part. So the firmware is it is it has a ton of things to customize and a lot of things to digest as well. But it seems a bit out of seems a bit difficult, but it's rather, once you get used to it, it is pretty simple to understand, and you could start using it. So the other structures of 3D printers is, since we have I have given an idea about what electronics are and mechanics and software. So let's take a look into the extruder part. Normally in a FDM based 3D printer, the extruder is it is used to melt plastic and then deposit it layer by layer. Whereas in our countercrafting 3D printer, we can't use similar extruder system. So rather, the extruder should be um, uh, it should actually deposit concrete, a special type of concrete, right? So I would like to give you an example of how such extruders can be designed and built. So we were actually partnered with L&T some time ago, and we developed a extruder system for their countercrafting machine. So let me just quickly show you, what. So you could basically design your own extruder systems, get it 3D printed, and then you could, yeah. So you could start, So this is what this is the extruder system which we designed for L&T, and as you could see. So this one, it is used to rotate in different oceans, and basically you also need to incorporate the mixing chamber on top of the mixing chamber, and choosing of different sensors and other stuffs to measure the pressure and the flow rate of the different materials, and with that. So these things are all required to develop a extruder system, and so this is basically a bare minimum skeleton. But that's where our this was our objective, and then we completed this and we handed it over to them. We 3D printed these parts and then we shipped it out to them. And in fact, they have been using this particular extruder mechanism in some of their prototypes. Even they are also into trying to build a countercrafting 3D printer. And yeah, so a quick summary. Let's take a look at different things which we discussed today. So we were I just gave you a very glimpse idea into what electronics are in a 3D printer, and the software, the firmware part. What is the responsibility of a firmware, and also we discussed about different mechanical parts. How to make mechanical motions. Different types of architectures which are available, like say core XY mechanism, delta type mechanism, gantry type mechanism, and other stuffs. So since we have a very limited time, I'm actually like I do understand we are going at a very fast rate. This entire to exactly to build a 3D printer, you need to have the skill sets in all these 4 areas. So you need to have skill sets in your electronics, mechanics, software, and do a lot of extensive research and development of the extruder as well. But hopefully, if you really have interest, probably you could definitely learn the different aspects a step at a time, and then you could really achieve it. And so let's have a discussion session now. And at the same time, what I'll do is we will also have I'll also post a reference video, which will be a very detailed reference video of steps or things to look out, or things to know for building your own 3D printer. All right. So thank you guys, and back to you, Dinesh sir. So let's take a look at our discussions now.
Thank you, Siddharth. I think today you have covered up that the maximum how to build a 3D printer. That's for using for a contour craft.
And at the same time, I do feel a bit odd, because the topics which we are looking right now is extensive topics, which due to the time constraint, we are actually like uh, looking at a very rapid pace. But things like these can be learned only with like say it requires a lot of time to learn these stuffs, right? So but it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely not that difficult as well. I could guarantee that to students. It takes a time. So I would also again recap to our students to if at all they are planning to build a 3D printer, it's right time for them to order a Arduino Mega 2560 microcontroller. Probably if at all because of lockdown, some companies are even delivering as well. So there are certain online platforms. If not, you could also students can try out Amazon for getting an Arduino controller as well. So with the Arduino controller, I think it's pretty easy for them to start working on the electronics. And once they start using these systems, it would be very easy for them to cope up and go into the core, much more complicated and complicated activators and other sensors as well. So getting an Arduino is a first step towards building their 3D printer. Yes, sir.
Siddharth, I think there will be one question regarding firmware, whether we can directly transform the Cura G code to this Manlin firmware, or else we need to do it manually in firmware.
Okay, no, Cura is completely different. Okay, Cura is software which is used to generate your G code alone. Not it is not used to say creating your basically Cura is used to control the generate the instruction sets for the microcontroller. For the firmware, you should be using Arduino. So Arduino is this particular software which I just we were discussing, right? So we'll be like loading the Marlin firmware over here, and from this if you could see on the TV screen, so this particular blue color part is actually the microcontroller. Once we connect the microcontroller with our computer, you have an option called upload over here. So once you choose, the entire sketch will be compiled, and the firmware gets uploaded over here. So for loading your firmware, you can't use Cura, you should be using Marlin. Yes, sir. Back to you.
I think that's it. Then I think no more questions are there.
Okay. So as I told you before, like I will try to leave a link of or I'll if not a video, I'll also reference certain subreddits from our Marlin or if not say our RepRap community, which is which students could actually get benefit of checking it out. So and for every giant leap, you got to have certain small steps. So only with few small steps you will be able to create achievements. So the same that building a 3D printer is really not a rocket science. So definitely it's a good shot for them to try it out. Yes, sir.
And one more question we got it that from Mr. Shamir, that he is asking about totally how much cost or money that we need to spend to build a 3D printer.
I think somewhere around like say 10 to 15,000. Say a very small, compact, basic 3D printer, or if not, even in the order of say under 10,000 rupees, also you could scavenge certain CD-ROMs. Even there are lots of students have actually even the students with whom I have mentored have also created a 3D printer with a CD-ROM actually. So basically you could get those CD-ROMs for dead cheap price. Say for a couple of hundreds of rupees, you could get a CD-ROM, right? So for every individual access control, you could use a CD-ROM's motor and other parts. So when you do it in that way, the cost of building a 3D printer would be around say 6 or 7K rupees. So it's not very expensive. It's pretty cheap actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and next question from Mr. Gokul Krishnan, that does this 3D printer is used in our cities for ready-made walls or compound walls, etc.
Okay. Uh, See, basically, countercrafting is still in research phase. All right. So till now, we don't have a commercially viable, commercial countercrafting 3D printer. But we are. There is a company which is promising to deliver it in this year. But since it's in research phase, it totally depends upon the materials which you are planning to use. So we could hypothesize, like, you could directly print reinforced, even the renderings which we saw in our introduction sessions of, implanting the rebars, implanting the plumbing, electrical ducts and everything. Every printer takes its own approach. So if you really want any special type of inserts, or any type of compound walls or anything like that, you could definitely do a build a machine based on the research. So I wouldn't give you a very precise answer on this. So the reason is because it's still in R&D phase. Yeah.
And there will be same, like two questions are there. One is
Yeah.
about minimal wall thickness of a 3D printer model, and again same thing. Another one participant named Ganesh. He also asking this 3D printing model is there a minimum wall thickness or maximum wall thickness like that?
No, there isn't. See, for minimum wall thickness part, like say for machines like these, it depends upon the nozzle diameter. And normally the nozzle diameter is 0.4 mm in plastics extrusion based, FDM technology machines. But with 0.4 mm, if you try to print, the walls will be like really very flimsy and it will break off. So normally in our industry, in our 3D printing industry, people won't accept designs with less than 1 millimeter of wall thickness. But if you ask the same question for countercrafting, it totally depends upon the extruder size. So if the extruder width is say 50 mm, which is like 5 centimeter, this much size, so that is going to be a minimum wall thickness. You can't get less than that. Or if you really want to, print very thin walls, you got to change your extruder. So it depends upon your extruder type. And with regards to maximum wall thickness, there is no limitation. You could you could actually theoretically use your entire build volume to build a wall. Yeah, back to you, sir.
Yeah, see that. And next question is about a software tool. That is there any special course on 3D printer software tool or interpretation for understanding?
Uh, I don't think you need to take a special course and spend money on that. The reason is because uh, you have enormous amount of resources available online, and with regards to 3D printing software, say, I think you are asking about, say, the slicing software, or what the majority of people will be using, right? So for converting their designs to G codes, for that purpose, you have a lot of resources available online. So all you need to do is, like, just try out, install the software, try out G code thing, and you could also simulate in the same software and see, like, say, based on your based on your settings and based on your parameters which you have set. So you could check out how the results are, how the output will be. And apart from that, if you want to give suggestions on some courses, you could make use of uh, you know I'll also drop certain video links to slicing softwares and Cura. So even but I think that should do the job. So you need to practice, you need to try out and experiment out with different stuffs, so you will normally learn gradually. And instead of that, spending on additional workshops or anything, I think it's really not a good idea. But if you really wish to, then you could check out courses on say Coursera, or Udemy or platforms like those as well. Even they have paid courses over there. So if you want, you can check out them as well. Yeah, back to you, sir.
Dinesh Kumar sir.
Okay. I think I'll just grab some questions from our comment section right now. So Sultan and Ibrahim have asked a question like, are 3D printed goods okay, are 3D printed goods as those manufactured traditionally? Okay, I assume they are as good as things manufactured traditionally, right? So everything Sultan, every manufacturing process has its own pros and cons. So let's say if you're manufacturing a injection molded part, so uh, when you compare it with the injection molded part, you could actually achieve do the same build the same part using a 3D printer, but the cost of manufacturing using a 3D printer will be a bit higher, several times higher than the part which is manufactured using an injection mold. So where you'll get benefit is in printers like these. If you want to print manufacture certain custom parts, like say the parts which I showed you while parts like these which you design and develop by your own, and then if you want to manufacture them, so in that cases using a 3D printer will be a very cheaper option, because you can't create an injection mold to create the parts like these, because injection molds are normally used for mass manufacturing. The cost of mold will run to several lakhs. So in areas like those, you will have a very high cost and benefit ratio using a 3D printer rather than using a traditional methods. So every technology has its own pros and cons. And Mr. Ganesh, any resolution was done in 3D printer. I think Ganesh, just try to be elaborative so that I'll be knowing what exactly you're asking. Anish Gupta, what do you think when 3D printers will be used by Indian construction companies? Yeah, so Indian construction field actually has an enormous potential for using 3D printers. The reason is because the several companies, to my knowledge, are already into developing into even Indian companies, like say I mentioned L&T before, and L&T is a company who does a lot of construction activities around the globe as well, and their main resource or main expenditure is actually manpower, right? So for and as we discussed before, construction field is one thing which is not automated, which is almost only field only which actually does in large magnitudes, but still majority of the work is manual. So um, in the Indian construction industry I'm expecting in around 10 years time frame, we could see a revolution in using countercrafting 3D printers in Indian construction industry. Yeah. So Sultan again, yeah. What are the differences between 3D printing and CNC milling? Okay, so CNC milling is again, if you want to see the similarities, there are only few similarities. The differences are drastic. Uh, Both work on G codes and M codes, but the differences are exact opposite. In CNC machines, you are basically removing subtracting material to create a part, whereas in 3D printing you are adding material to create a part. So that's the entire the core fundamentals actually completely changes over here. So that is a major difference. And apart from that, do we have any other questions? Okay, what resolution can a 3D printer print? Um, Depends upon the type of 3D printer. As the on yesterday's link, I have actually shared a HP multi-jet fusion technology in our Google Classroom. So if you could see that machine, they actually call it as a voxel. voxel is a volumetric pixel. So basically they are in the size of microns. So machines like those actually cost several crores, but when using those kind of machines, the resolution is like say way higher. It's almost in few micro. You could get a very precise control up to few microns. Whereas in machines like these, your resolution is actually limited to the amount of material being deposited, which is going to be a 0.4 mm over here. So just 400 microns. So that is the resolution. Okay, so Mandy, can multiple extruders be used in the same machine for larger output? Okay, so this is one interesting question. We can use multiple extruders, but unfortunately, we could only use one single extruder for printing one single part. Let's say in a single part, if you want to print multiple colors, you could use dual extruder, where one extruder will be loaded with one particular color, and say the other extruder will be loaded with other color or even other material as well. But that's not going to reduce the time. It's going to increase the time only. But rather, if you have a very enormous build platform, and if you have several extruders, printing multiple parts at the same time, so in that case, you are not going to reduce the time of printing of the time taken for printing is going to be same, but with the same time you're going to print multiple parts. So in that way, it could help. So that's the only way where you could get an efficient increase in time factor while using multiple extruders. Other than that, there is going to be a decrease in time usage. Yeah. Okay. So do we have any other questions?
No, Siddharth, I think we completed mostly all the questions.
Okay, perfect. Sure. So, if you have any other questions, you students, please do post in our Google Classroom, and also take a look in our Google Classroom as well. So we'll be like continuously posting links from now on, and uh, so already I have even shared the links for the Arduino software download and the Marlin firmware to download. I mean the download link as well. So kindly have a check at it and. Probably even try to, so your assignment for today will be to check out reprap.org and to check out download Arduino and Marlin firmware and take a look into it. Yeah, back to you, Dinesh sir.
Yes, Siddharth, I think if they have any other questions, we'll have it in Google Classroom then.
Sure sir, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right then, so let's find up today's session, and let's meet tomorrow at 4. And so tomorrow we'll be looking into what contour crafting has to offer for mankind. So tomorrow session is going to be about exclusively about the future prospects of contour crafting, wherein we'll be discussing how contour crafting is going to be used in extraterrestrial explorations. Because for all these days we will be discussing about how it could give an impact in our globe, but countercrafting is one thing which is going to stay with us for even for extraterrestrial explorations, like say exploring moon, like what NASA is having plans of using countercrafting 3D printers for creating moon bases and Mars base and all. And apart from that, we'll also take a look into several applications of countercrafting, and we'll also have uh, discussion session tomorrow on building your own 3D printer. So for that purpose, I'll be sharing additional resources in our Google Classroom. So kindly, students who are not using your Gmail ID, kindly create a Gmail ID and then sign up with our just get registered in our Google Classroom forum, so that you get all our updates from our side. So thank you. Thanks a lot for today's session. And yeah, back to you, sir.
Yeah, Siddharth, thank you for today's session, and thank you for all the participants who take part in our session today. I think Madam is also there. Ma'am, ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Okay, I think ma'am has.
Yes.
Okay,
Available
ma'am.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am is there.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Tell me, sir. What is about tomorrow's session, sir?
Ma'am, so tomorrow we'll be discussing about the several applications of counter crafting 3D printers, and
Okay.
we'll be looking into different uh, interesting prospects, the future prospects of counter crafting, especially like say building extraterrestrial colonies, and
Okay.
what NASA is having plans of using counter crafting technologies in their
Oh,
space exploration, and
okay.
apart from that, specifically in country like India, what kind of impact it's going to have in the next. It's going to be a forecast for the next 10 years, and along with that, we'll also discuss about building our 3D printer part. So for that
Okay.
purpose, I'll be sharing certain resources today in our Google Classroom,
Okay.
which I suggest our students to take a look at it, so that they will get the topics which we are covering is actually huge topics which require
Yes.
separate individual works. I do understand that, but unfortunately, because of the time constraint part, we are only able to see the tip of the iceberg and not the part beneath it. So
True. True.
uh, but at the same time, I would really emphasis on one point that
Mm.
building a 3D printer is really not a rocket science or not a complicated thing.
Mm.
It is all we need to do is take few steps at a time. Begin with I have suggested our students to begin with Arduino platform, try out certain examples in that, and if possible during this lockdown also, if possible, if they are able to get a hold on an Arduino motherboard which is going to cost less than say 800 rupees or something online.
Mm.
It is really not that expensive, so students could try out. And it's not only going to benefit students for building their 3D printer, it would also benefit them, like say if they want to build a robo, or say any robotic device, or even building a drone, or say whatnot. They could control what different activators and other get data from sensors and build their own stuffs. So it's a very interesting platform, and so it's a very people could really. I do wish students will try out this particular platform. So it's so that they can take use of it
Okay.
in the near future. Yeah.
We can also ask suggestions. What is the requirements of the audience also?
Sure.
If they require any particular thing also, we can cover in the next. This is the 4th day, is it not? Today is the
Yes.
4th day.
Yes.
So another 2 days we have. If they need any
Yes.
particular requirement also, they can post it in the Google Classroom, so
Definitely.
that we will come and answer that also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That's
sir. Okay.
definitely, ma'am.
That
Sure.
also we can cover to some extent. This triggering of this initiative should end up with a project. We will see how many are
Definitely.
turning up
I
for
do
the
wish.
3D project, 3D printer project. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a very nice
Thank you, ma'am.
session. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Dinesh Kumar, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you can also post in the Google Classroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Any feedback or requirements from the participant side also, we will try to cover that also in the next.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Siddhartha.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, students. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, all the participants, and kindly fill up the feedback form for today's session.
All right.